Welcome to this watercolor portrait paint along video. We will be doing together a portrait painting, nothing too big, so I have chosen a quite small paper. You can have something from A4 to smaller paper, considering however you want to trace the reference picture or the line art. So I will have the reference information available in the description and also more precise instructions for choosing your palette and then what materials you might need for this challenge. So please go read the information, pause this video, do your sketch, get the materials ready and the reference picture available, and then we can start this paint along. So go ahead and pause for a moment and then let's continue. Now we should have our sketch ready. I also taped it to a backing board. You can do the same. This is just in case we get the paper so wet that it would be then buckling. Then next we will be choosing the colors, so have your palette ready. We will be doing a random number generation. So I will be changing this to 24, and then this doesn't matter if you have a bigger palette or a smaller palette, we will just be counting onwards to whatever number we are getting. So now it gave me 24 and I have a 12 color palette, so basically this will be my 24th color. So count from the top row onwards. Then we will be continuing from this color onwards for the next color. That will be then 20. So we will have 12 here, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So these will be my two colors. Now you can follow the same numbers as I, or do your own random number generation. Now have your reference picture available. We will be starting painting after we first do a little trial for the colors using sketching paper, and I also need to clean up this. Okay, let's start doing the swatches. I cleaned my palette or the pans meanwhile. So there's a nice red and then quite dark color. Let's see how they mix together. Okay, now that you have also your two colors checked out, decide what will be your main color, for example, for the skin areas, and then what will be your darker and shadow areas. So I will be going with this red in the skin, maybe slight mixtures of this darker color, and then these will be the shadow areas, and then of course this mixture I can use all around the skin and or the hair or the sunglasses. I will decide as we are going forward. So let's get the paper ready here. I will use the sketching paper if I need to remove color from my brushes or check out the values of my mixtures. Should have that on the right side. Then I will take some clean water so I can have my base colors added here already, and also some mid-value mixture. Then we can do lighter or darker values as we go. So make your mixtures ready into the palette. I prefer to do it this way so I'm not wasting colors into my cleaner water. Check the mixture here, so it's very light, but it's anyway quite okay. I won't make the skin areas that dark. We have to be quite careful. The lightest colors are in the face. Then I will be doing the darker value and have to be careful with this. We don't want super darks. For this mixture we can take more darker color straight from the pan if needed. Let's see. I think that's okay. Then I want to take the water out. A bit too much to do also already mixture as well, so I won't be blending that much on the paper. Okay, take your reference picture. I will also have it available somewhere on the sides of the image. But let's start. Now that the paper is so small, I won't be bothering with wetting the areas. You could start now doing wetting the areas that are now mid-value or the shadow areas, but avoid all the brightest brights here. And then I also would avoid the sunglasses or the rims. I want to decide the color later. It might be the bright red, for example, so I don't want to taint that with other colors, so it will then pop out brightly. And same for the lips. Maybe you want to reserve some clean color for that as well. But I will start with the red now first. So I will be going through all the areas on the face, not yet proceeding any forward from the neck area, so we have to work fast, but not so fast that we have to worry about all the areas in the skin yet. So we should be fast enough not to have the paper or the color drying yet, so it would be then starting forming some sharp edges. And now I almost went through the highlights in the nose. Careful, don't be too fast. Then there's the highlight under the nose. Then I will continue from the chin. Now I have to add color. It starts to get light. You can also use that to your advantage. That you start getting the lighter colors, so you can then reserve that. For example, when we start doing now the forehead, we don't need that dark value here, but I think I will anyway. Most of the areas I will be putting it all, I think, and then we can slightly pull out the colors. I will now clean my brush of excess water and start lifting slightly the forehead, and be careful you're not causing any sharp lines or start causing cauliflowers, or so keep cleaning up. I will now also fix the nose a bit because I went through the brightest brights. You can't fully save those anymore if you went through. Now I will continue over to the neck area, so with this we can just sweep through shadow areas and everything, and be mindful around the neck area you will be causing lines there because we have the previous color layers there, and we are not even intending to be blending. There's no need. We want there to be anyway a shadow area, and I will add color to the earlobe here as well. And then there are still areas here. Could also leave these blank for now and then just put the darker color layer, but if you have a color beneath, it can shine through depending on how heavy layers you will be adding later. And now be careful of the highlight area on the shoulder as well. I will use my damp brush to blend a little towards the highlight area. And now I will also get back to the face. I want to slightly blend this. So with a damp brush, remember to dry it off and clean it if needed. Cleaning not necessary unless you have a lot of pigment in the brush, or if it's the exact same color anyway, then you won't be creating a mess. Okay, now we have the base color for the skin. I don't want to continue yet on the face. We can, now you can decide whether you want to be making the eyes visible or not. You can also just make the glasses that dark that they won't be see-through, like I have, for example, done here. You can't see the eyes at all. But I will be having the eyes somewhat visible, so I will be now adding the skin color here as well. all the areas. I think I will be covering this lens entirely. There's no highlights in the glass itself, but then on this side, remember, there was this bright area, so I will avoid that. And I like quite sharp highlights in glasses. Of course, in the reference it was quite soft, so we can in the end check whether we want to be doing a bit of blending or not. Then the edges of the skin should be somewhat dry, so now we can start thinking about the hair color. I think I will use the shadow mixture that I had. It is quite light still, not too dark. And then we will still have room to make the shadow areas even darker. And now if you want to consider any highlights in the hair, please do avoid putting any color there. You can also leave intentional lighter marks. And now also note that we didn't wet the paper in advance, so you have to be very fast, so you are not leaving then unintentional high or sharp edges. So consider that. You can also take a clean brush and just add water to the hair area. I can do that on the other side. And I won't be leaving any strong highlights in the face, sorry, the hair. So most will be covered now with this color. I think I will just cover here as well. And remember, if you are going back to an area you already painted, then if the mixture isn't or if the paper has already been started drying, then you might start getting cauliflowers as you are adding now more water. But let's do the other side. I'll take now from this clean water so you can make this hair area. It doesn't have to be precise, but so that there at least is wetness. And if you want to leave highlights, then you should be avoiding those at this step as well, because then otherwise the color will be bleeding to the wet areas. So let's, and you could also use now your bigger brush for this hair. I am continuing with this smaller brush. If you have the bigger brush, then you can cover the areas faster. already drying. Okay, and then also note that the hair area you can brush it however you see fit, so you don't have to follow the exact shapes. You can have the hair flow as you want. So just can ignore the sketch. I will now already start adding a bit more darkness to the hair with another layer of the same mixture. Note that you might start getting some additional effects if the color is still somewhat wet. The areas you are reworking. But I like that about watercolor, so I don't mind. But of course, if you are doing realism, then you probably don't want that. And as you can see, the color that I have, it's slightly granulating as well, so it might not be the perfect option. For example, I don't like granulation in skin, so it might give some unwanted looking textures there. But let's see. Now the hair is the wettest area here, so now I want to get back to the sunglasses and then maybe under the lips. No, I don't want to touch there yet. It's kind of the final details, and then that can also mess with the teeth area. So I think I will do now the darker areas in the or inside the sunglasses, just roughly marking where the shadow areas are, kind of the hint of the eyes beneath. So don't be drawing actual eyes and not on the right side. The highlight area, we don't want to go through there. And also there is a shadow here, but I don't want to add that. It's a bit weird position, but it was an AI generated image and I didn't do a perfect fixing for everything to make sense. So paint what you see as the best solution for you. Okay, I think I will leave that, or yeah, I'll leave it at that now, and then we can start doing the lips. So decide now what kind of shade do you want the lips to be. Just notice that they are somewhat separating from the skin, at least, so it can be understood that those are lips. So I will be now using this mixture at least on the bottom lip, underside, and also the gums. So I will put kind of both the top lip and the teeth. I'm avoiding especially the teeth. I will be getting back to the top lip after, and then I will also shade the lower bottom side. And we can also do the area under the teeth, so just to remind us that it's there, and then you can also shade other side of the teeth, and then I also to do the same slightly here, but not as far because the light is more on this side than on the left side, so then the teeth on this side are more in the shadow area. Then I will take the red, start putting it into the top lip, and then things will start blending a bit. You can add darkness later to more clarify. Then the areas, and now leave highlight to the lip where you see fit. I will slightly to the right side, not that much, but okay, now we have base for that. And then I want to continue with this mixture to have the shadow areas for the skin. Now the hair should be, this side is a bit wet, but we are still working on the base. This is more dry than here. So be careful or mindful of the edge areas that you are not starting to bleed into other areas, and now especially with the lip area that we just did, so don't go too close there yet. And let's try to make or keep it quite dark. We can always lift a little if you want to, but just so we are not getting back to this shade again. So now color anything that is in the shadow areas. This mid value shadow, not the darkest dark yet. Under the nose, and now check from the nose that you are going around the nostril area and slightly on the side of the nose. There's a little lighter area there. I want to also now these little shadows around the sunglasses and the nose. Then now we have again a more darker mixture, so I will continue from this jawline here, and now we won't be going through the whole face. I'll just blend it here into the ear, not touching much to the cheek, and then consider the shadow area and the laugh lines here. Getting back to the nose from here, and there's also a laugh line here. I will mark that. And I'll also fix this a bit. Now you can also put a little shadow also under the wing, but be careful to keep it light. And then I want to, not taking any color, I want to slight shadow areas here. So what's beneath, kind of beneath the hair, over here. Not too dark yet. We will add the darkest darks still. Then the cheek is now wet, so I will continue with the arm. Let's do the darker area beneath, and then we can also cover the areas that are kind of under the hair in the shadows. Let's do this part quickly until here where any drying light won't matter, and then we can clean up the brush, make it damp and blend this like so. Then let's continue from the neck onwards. There's a slight lighter value on the collarbone area, supposed collarbone, and then going up here. It's blending there, but it's fine, it's still the same color. And in the end, I don't think I want to touch yet here, but then most likely I will also cover this area still with a lighter value, so it's not that bright as the areas in the base. It's slightly more in the shadow overall. And also blend a bit here. We will still do the more darker shadow. So this is not the final color, and I still want to blend a bit here in the hand. Just see how it's then going. We will be adding, so that I can have then this separation, I will make the darker dark also here beneath the hair, under the chin, and then we will be darkening the nostril areas and slightly around the nose. But otherwise we shouldn't be having any more darker shadows here in the skin. Now you can decide on your sunglasses color. You could also leave them light, now depends on how clean you were working around the rim, and then also what color do you want for the shades to be. I was thinking, and I think I will do the glasses red. It could be also the very dark color. Well, actually I will make the sunglasses red. I think I want to now switch over to this smaller brush, so I will take now mostly my kind of water from this red, and then I will be taking more pigment from this pan straight. Now be careful if you have still wetness in the face, shadow areas, that you are not starting to bleed the sunglasses color into the face. Just keep going, whatever color you chose, and if you want to now fix if your rim color is very dark, then you can still now fix a bit the width of certain areas if you think they were now too narrow. But if you have a lighter color, then you can't really do much. So we have to fix elsewhere than around face or then the lenses. And be careful not to touch the paper with your hand, so you are not disrupting the drying colors. Okay, I think that's now fine. We will wait for that to dry, and before we can continue with the glasses, I think now before I head out working with the lips and the shadows, now you can decide whether you want to be overall darkening your hair. Was it too light? And then as well, do you want to color the background color? Try to make it so that the hair is still readable, so not the same color, or then make it either lighter or darker than the hair, or using just the other colors, so then of course it's also visible like that. But I think I will now, in this case, mostly leave it white, but I want to add the bright red, so I will now first wet some areas where I want to add the color just as a highlight, or kind of adding the red more to the picture than just the glasses, kind of balancing it out. So try to consider where we want to be adding the redness, and then also how strong colors. So will you be adding more pigment or keep it white light? I will start with this mixture, and then I will add slightly to some spots. Not everywhere. And then the other side. And now you could leave a little lighter line between the hair and then the shoulder, so it's not straight touching the skin. And now that we added the wetness here, you can see that the water was not entirely clean, so then of course that will also leave its own sharper lines. It might be a thing you want to happen, but if you don't, then you can start blending out the color. But anyhow, there will be then some pigment with the water, most likely, so some lines will be visible. You can also now start working on the hair if you wanted to darken it. I think I will now actually start adding the shadows or the more darker darks. We can add now this mixture here in a separate, and then start taking pigment. We can do the mixture here, or then mix and take from the palette as we go. So I start now with doing the shadows because my hair is now dry, so the sharpest shadows won't be then bleeding anywhere else than I want them to go. So dry your paper if you need to. I will do the chin and then I will merge it with the hair shadow area. And now clean up edges here if you have any uneven edges there. I think I want to darken it, at least as we are going on the edges of the hair. And now consider how you want to blend it outwards. And then let's head up. Now I will also cover the ear in shadow. The ear should be popping out there. The background of the original color that it had. And now be mindful around the rim. You can also do some strands. And then I will continue to the other side of the hair. So starting from the darkest areas, also going over the ear here. And now check your reference how the hair is flowing. I will add shadow area till here, and then we can do a bit of strands darker going here. Then you can also darken the bottom area as you want, considering how dark your colors are, or darken the hair. So it depends on whether you want to keep the hair quite light blonde or if we are going for more darker hair. I will try to avoid the hair now in the bottom area because now I want to do the shadow area to separate the shoulder, and then careful with the hair strands. I could now change to my precision brush, but I won't because I'm just stupid now. I will do this. Mix a bit. That's here. Now that you start seeing the colors drying a bit, you can see that it's not exactly that dark after all. For example, under the chin, you can darken it more if you feel like it, but I don't think I want to have that dark under the chin, but then maybe around the face in the hair area. But let's leave that to dry so we are not then causing unwanted textures. I will now clean this brush and leave it at the side and take the precision brush. So let's continue with the lips and mouth area. I want to take a bit more of the dark color, but I was blending it slightly with the lighter mixture. So under the teeth, the darker areas, and now I can't exactly clearly see how the teeth went there, but check the reference image and do something similar to what you see. So we have darker area here, and then try to avoid doing kind of line art, so we are not going through all around. You can consider slightly the form of the teeth, but do not paint single teeth. Let's leave that like so. Then we can take this lighter, more red mixture, and then we can separate the gum from the top lip by doing this color for the bottom of the lip, and leave some lighter on top of the lip there, and then anyway here we paint it all in the shadow. And now note in the image there's the shadow going there, so we should also have some of the shadow on the lips, but let's do that once this is more dry, because now it will just blend. Let's do this darker color now on the bottom lip as well, and slight shadow there. Then let's do the laugh lines visible. So there was line going from here, and we can now also make the under the nose a bit more visible. And then there was dimple here. The other area side we already had, but then I will sharpen on the edges here, and then slightly then let's still clean up nose area, so there's slightly more form visible here. There's not really that much more happening here other than the shadow area and the highlights, so I won't be adding much detail. We will do the final touches with the nostrils, but let's add this more darker, maybe take also pigment from this and still darken the line here. Now I want to darken the under the teeth. And then also on this side we can use this very dark here, but I won't be slightly using here, but not adding that anywhere else in the mouth. Let's do a slight darkening here, so we are hinting some forms in the ears that are otherwise in the shadows. And then we can also slightly still push the boundaries here. Just might have been a bit too much. I want to blend it out a bit. It's not that dark. So then I will do the nostrils. They can be quite dark and it will anyway be lightening. As the colors are drying, I can't clearly see where the nostrils even were. Hopefully somewhere along here. And now that I have the very dark, I want to still put under the teeth a bit more. Now just keeping it under the teeth, and I think I will let that be, and then I want to now clean here a bit. The shadows start to base. You have to be careful you are not starting to create lines, so that's why I will be now brushing along here so I can blend it there. Now I want to sharpen below the nose here. Still a bit more. Just keeping it here, I'm not going downwards the laugh line. And then I'm also now adding shadow area there, and then also slightly lifting here because there was a lighter area as well. Now the hair area should be quite dry, so we can now start putting in the final darkest darks. If you don't have water here, then add a bit more, and then also let's take pigment. And now after this layer we then have to also revisit the base if it starts to look like it's a bit too light. Let's keep this now solely in the hair. And only the bottom shadow area, quite narrow section, so let's not go too far. And then the same on this side. Cover here now. Okay. checking out if I want to. I think I will blend it a bit more outward, kind of continuing the flow. Okay, and then we didn't do the darker shadows here, so I will continue with the same texture. So I'm taking a more darker value. And then the same this side. Okay, I think I will still darken also here. Now we can note some of the hair area that we are not putting everywhere, just okay. Then the glasses, the actual glass area. So I had decided I will do it with the darker color, but I won't do it solely on the darker color, so it's not the exact same as the shadow areas then, so I will use this color and add the darker color there. Now we can check how dark or red it is, so I want to add the red straight and make it fresh red. I will still add. Okay, now this side we can paint over entirely and then lift out if necessary, depending how strong your mixture is and if you want the cheeks to show through somewhat. And then on this side note the highlight area, so don't cover that. I will go quickly through with this brush and I think it will be fine. This brush alone, and then we can check the details with the precision strike. Like the edge here. And then there's a light area there, so fixing those. And then let's heat over to the other side. Highlight area, staying out of it. And now I want to thinking whether I want to blend that, but I actually like the sharp edges in the sunglasses, so I won't be blending this area into the white. So I won't, if you wanted, you just clean your brush, make sure it's damp, and then start swiping outwards from the highlight. So if you go through, then you will be adding the color there, so then the white won't be there anymore. So the highlight, original highlight is then gone. Now, before we can touch then the glasses, we have to let them dry for final details. Now start checking then where do you need to fix some lines, add more color, make it stronger. I think what we didn't finish earlier was then the kind of the hint of the shadow from the nose area to the lips, so either keeping this side more light or then now adding the shadow here. So let's add with this darker red that I had in the lips originally as well, so the shadow is coming here and also here. Bit more depth here under the lip, and then you can check how your mixtures have dried. So do we want to add more color into the laugh lines or fix a bit the shadows? I think I will slightly darker and then the more red mixture I had, so it's not entirely, but some spots strengthen, not every. Now careful the glasses, because we have the wetness in the glass area. You don't want colors bleeding from there into the face. So now check some more details. If you want to have more hint of the highlight areas, then darken on the below and then between here and then some areas in the hair over there, but I will be keeping it quite simple so we can get this finished as well. I want to darken the here a bit more. It wasn't any more visible, so darkening that. Then I think I want to still darken here. Quite a lot of color in the glasses, so it's puddling to the top. Now you can see the original areas are somewhat visible but not entirely, so if you want to make them darker, then you have to rework the darker areas back there or start lifting the lighter areas. I want to lift a bit on this side because this is supposed to be the more lighter side, and it's kind of ending up now the darker lens. Lifting up the color from there, and now I will also that you will most likely start getting then some sharp areas, so you probably want to then blend as well. And with the glasses you can of course leave sharper lines as well. I think I entirely. That might have been a bit too much, but it's the lighter side. Now I probably will be messing things up a bit. I want to slightly fix the nose shadows, which means I will cover the entire shadow area. Mostly you can leave some highlights if you feel like you want kind of a third softer, lighter value still, and then I will also fix here. Let's go downwards as well. Now I'm working with the light mixture. I haven't taken new color, so I can fine-tune a bit on the highlight areas as well if you feel like this is perhaps a bit too big bright area. Then we can just cover some areas around here, but I want to hint that there's a kind of strong light coming to the face, so I will leave most of the area a bit there, and then to fix a bit on the shadow area here, because it kind of looked like there's no more teeth on that side. Now I want to just look around the picture and see if there's any areas I want to work more. At this point I think it's mostly now done, but I want to do some darker lines for the sunglasses on this side. Okay, then I want to still clean up around the mouth area. I will take slightly the darker color into this mixture. You might want to dry your paper. This final cleanup, because it's most likely, like my paper now, a bit moist, so then your supposed sharp lines will be then blending, but it might be also what you want. So I will now do some cleanup, not intentionally bringing out the highlights, but just trying to straighten the colors, because there was a bit of the darker glasses coming into the cream, and I don't want it there, so you can just add the color again if needed back. I think I want to wait for this to dry, so then we can do the final details. And actually I won't wait, I have a hair dryer, so sharpen the final lines that we want. Try to keep it, since we are not doing a line art, so how much I would want to be fixing or cleaning there, I don't want to draw a line, then you would instead draw the entire shadow area again. So try to avoid making line art. It's blending a bit, I think. So I'll just take my paper and lift it off slightly. It's now looking a bit blurry there. Just keep adding the final details and try again if it wasn't dry yet. Okay, I think I will still bit more lighter color still. That's light. Let's remedy that. Just still that nostril a bit more visible, but save that a bit and then blend it to the area. And then I think I'll slightly go over it. More form to the nose. This bit more in the shadow as well. Okay, I think I will be ending my painting here. Continue if you feel like you need to redo some layers. But then once the paper is entirely dry, then you can try to clean up some of the pencil marks that are, for example, I have visible here, the highlight marking on the shoulder, but then otherwise anything that has been touched with watercolor, you most likely cannot be erasing that out. And then also be careful that you are not destroying the surface of the paper. Okay, here we have it, our watercolor portrait with random picked colors. And I actually also did an earlier study as well, so you can see this one here as well, but that ended up like a 3-hour video, so I did a new hopefully shorter video. So thanks for participating, and let me know if you have any feedback for any future paint along videos, so I can consider that. And let me know what kind of results you had, what kind of paintings you made, what were your colors from your palette that you ended up using. Thank you. Bye bye. Hey, just a quick final update on this painting. I still cleaned up some of the edges around the glasses and also signed the picture painting. I just wanted to say this brush was total bleep, so I couldn't get sharp edges. But I tried out my new brush that I got. I can't even read it. What is it? It's the Shimoni Artist brushes, and this is the Fibonacci size 0.1. So with this I got the sharp lines very nicely, and this holds also water very well. As you noticed, I was struggling a bit with this one because it doesn't take in water that much and it does not stay sharp. So out with that one, and I will be also using the other new brushes I got from the same set. So with that I did the final details for the painting.